that trailer alone would just, I mean, that you're getting back into like the once in a lifetime type of stuff that the MCU was giving us for a
Yep.
minute there.
It might get better if you're a Midnight Suns fan, though, because we've been getting updates about Midnight Suns for a minute. If you watched us last week in our live stream, we talked about that. There's reportedly a movie in the works, and we've gotten kind of a mini update from our show's best friend, our unofficial best friend of the show, Daniel RPK. But it's being rumored that the movie's set to include characters that weren't a part of the Avengers. So what that means right away for all the people that are hopeful that people like, oh, Doctor Strange is going to be in it. No, he's an Avenger. This is going to include everybody else. So don't get your hopes up of having him as a part of the official team member.
It is genius. Feige RPK over here is giving us gold on the weekly, daily basis. I mean, just think about this. Non-Avengers team. You could have Moon Knight, Daredevil, Blade, Punisher. I don't know if we're considering Spider-Man, but I hope he would be a Midnight Sun versus an Avenger personally. But I mean, you could. This movie, I'm just going to say this here. There's a chance that if they stick with the Midnight Suns name, that the popularity of characters that they could have on this team could push this close to the Avengers IP if they stick with it. Because I personally can't think of even adding a Ghost Rider to that. I can't think of any team that would satisfy fans on the level that we've been craving the last 2-3 years, like a Midnight Suns team. I can't foresee the Avengers doing that. Secret Wars maybe, carried by Legacy, but the Midnight Suns, bro, it'd be game over. Game over.
Yeah, that would be wild. I've always liked Strange to be part of it, but I'm more than happy with them opening that up to a member that hasn't been in like 7 different freaking movies already.
It gives you a chance to do something different.
Yeah.
Where Guardians feels like its own thing, but still in certain ways feels like a Avengers level movie. To what Lou was saying, they could just make this for Midnight Suns. You know, Midnight Suns can, in its own way, its own very unique way, could be the next Guardians-like team, the next Avengers-like team, where you have that mix of like star power in terms of comic book characters and obviously, you know, the actors playing them, but also make it feel like an event to kind of push your MCU timeline forward without having to have Avengers. Because that's the big problem right now.
Okay, let me ask you guys this, right? Because we have like this is a weird limbo in between thing, and I've wanted to wait till the live stream to ask you guys this in person. Do you think that them keeping the Avengers team away is making people feel like, oh my gosh, we need an Avengers because I want to see an Avengers? Or it's like, oh my gosh, we need an Avengers movie so we can have something big? Like, where do you guys kind of sit from an Avengers standpoint?
Because I think it's both in a way, where it's been since 2019 since we've gotten an Avengers movie, so it's been
hundreds of hours later.
Yeah, 5 years, which for the MCU is a very long time.
We are in the Endgame timeline now.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's a long time without an Avengers movie, so we want to see them because, again, 5 years when we were so used to getting them a lot closer, we need it. But then also, it really hasn't felt like anything big has happened. The past phase and a half has just kind of, even though there's been bigger moments, right? Cap, Scarlet Witch, you name it, right? There hasn't been that kind of period to end this paragraph. It just keeps going.
It would be cool to see them just. I would like to see Midnight Suns interact with the Avengers at one point. That would be freaking. That would be awesome. I'm sure that's probably like what they're gonna build up for in Secret Wars and all that jazz, but you never know. Freaking even just 2 members of the Avengers doing like a cameo just to help out would be cool. To try to make it more marketable, maybe. I don't know.
I think about that. Could you guys imagine a world where all phases of the MCU are clicking, and you have a Midnight Suns team, you have the X-Men, you have the Avengers, you have the Fantastic Four, and there's a Midnight Suns movie where you get Human Torch, Wolverine, Spider-Man, and I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, talk about billion-dollar movies and getting that feel that we're getting right now with Deadpool. Like, that trailer alone would just, I mean, that you're getting back into like the once in a lifetime type of stuff that the MCU was giving us for a minute there.
Yeah. And it's interesting that from what it seems with this source that they're specifically saying characters that weren't a part of the Avengers, because it definitely seems like they want to make it bigger than kind of what Midnight Suns are in the comics typically, right?
Yeah.
I'd say with the game, it was the first time that they were like, let's make Midnight Suns bigger and include characters that were outside of, you know, the normal kind of like mystical side and whatnot, that they can be involved with it, but you still have that star power for people to come in from a casual standpoint. And you said it earlier, Lou, having someone like Daredevil, that's a major casual draw if you have him in a movie like this.
Hell, even Spider-Man. He said that earlier.
Well, and think about this from the game. I mean, you guys are much more into games than I am, but even with what you guys know about the Midnight Suns game, if you're familiar with it, did that feel like street level, like it was a street level game in a way? Or did it feel like it wholly went like mystical, dark, that route?
I didn't play it, I'll be honest, but I did watch some playthroughs. But from what it seemed, yeah, it was definitely more of a bigger event. Like this isn't just a street level thing. This goes beyond that.
That right there, that feel, I think all of us can agree that like that would be a great way to balance the Avengers and the cosmic side of the MCU instead of getting something like a Thunderbolts movie.
I don't know. Every time we talk about Midnight Suns project, I keep getting more excited.
Me too. Makes me want to get some comics.
There are some available out there that I heard are pretty good too.
They got a Midnight Sun omnibus? Probably not.
That I don't think they do. But there are some trades out there.
Do you guys think though, if they went that route, how big do you think the comic side of things or the Midnight Suns like popularity, like what would that do just for the overall Marvel scope?
It would kind of have the Guardians effect. I really hate using Guardians as an example, but I mean they're kind of the best example of that, where Guardians was a team that only niche people who were in comics really cared about. Nobody else. And then the movies came out and people suddenly cared, and you were getting bigger writers on the book. And not to say that talented people haven't worked on Midnight Suns books. No, that's not true at all. There's been a lot of great talent on it before, but I think you would start getting your more mainstream people. I'd say someone as far as like Jonathan Hickman, who's people really love in the comics industry right now. So it would do a lot.